Did you know the number one cause of all disease is one word? And this word was actually researched. It was researched by an endocrinologist back in the 50s and 60s. His name was Dr. Selye. And what he found is that there's one thing that causes all disease on the planet. And that one thing is called stress. Yes, stress. So stress, more specifically, any kind of physical stressor, that's pain or any kind of postural issue, any kind of emotional stressor. Now, that is a death of a loved one, or financial loss, or hardship, or just daily stress. Somebody cuts you off on your way to work. That's never happened to you, I'm sure. Or any kind of chemical stressor. Now, chemical stressor is nothing but a nutrient deficiency or toxicity. These stressors stack. And when they stack, they decrease health. And what Dr. Hans Selye found was that there's three primary phases of disease. You get the alarm stage, which is somebody cuts you off. What happens to your heart rate? Do you think it goes up or do you think it goes down? Definitely goes up, right? Guess what else happens? What happens to your blood pressure? Do you think it goes up or do you think it goes down? It definitely goes up. And what do you think happens to your immune system? The immune system under stress becomes suppressed. Now, under a stress response, the body fortifies itself. It actually starts creating these hormones called catecholamines, like adrenaline, epinephrine, cortisol, right? Those are catecholamines that raise the blood pressure, that raise the heart rate. Now, we're the only creatures on the planet that could think about, do this for me, do me a favor. I want you to think about something that happened recently. Say a stressor, maybe even something that happened to you today. And the moment you think about that stressor, say somebody cut you off or something happened at work, because this never happens to anybody. Think about that right now. How do you feel? What do you feel? Did your heart rate go up? Are you noticing little palpitations? Are you noticing the blood pressure is rising? Maybe your palms start getting sweaty or you start sweating, right? That's a stress response. Now, we're the only creature on the planet that could think about something that happened to us in childhood and we had the same emotional response. Because this is our body. I'm sorry, that's our mind. This is our body. This is our conscious mind. This is our subconscious mind. And this is our body. So say we have a negative thought. So we think about something that happened to us at a young age. It's going to create a negative feeling. And then the body starts producing these stress hormones, which change how the body functions, which is basically the body's action. So if I'm a deer in the wild and I get chased by a mountain lion, I'm going to run like heck. I'm going to produce all of these hormones. I'm going to go through this alarm stage that Dr. Hans Selye talked about. I'm going to produce cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine. I'm going to produce all those stress hormones because I need to survive. Now, the moment that deer, if they get a chance to escape, the moment they escape, they're able to calm down. They sit around a pond and they're drinking water. They're eating off trees, right? They're able to go back to normal activity. Now, as humans, we don't have that capability. We get scared, we get startled. And adrenaline can stay in our blood circulation for about 20 to 30 minutes. But cortisol, another stress hormone, can stay in circulation for up to 20 hours if you have a sluggish metabolism. Think about that. If you had a stressful event this morning, right? That stressful event could affect your hormones, because cortisol disrupts every hormone cascade inside the body, including thyroid function, which will slow down your metabolism, which will make you gain weight, right? So that one hormone can stay in circulation for 20 hours. Now, how many of you guys wake up, raise your hand or comment down below, how many of you wake up between 2 and 4 a.m. every single morning? And you're like, oh, I just wake up and go pee-pee, right? But if you wake up between 2 and 4 in the morning, guaranteed you had a stressful response that's affecting your ability to sleep. Now, this is what happens. In Chinese medicine, the liver, its function is between 2 and 4 in the morning. And so think about this. What stores most of the glycogen inside the body? Glycogen is sugar, and it gets stored inside the liver. So when we're sleeping and our blood sugar starts dropping, the adrenal gland starts producing adrenaline and cortisol, and it wakes us up. The reason why it starts producing adrenaline and cortisol is because we need more blood sugar in our circulation because we don't have stabilize blood sugar. So most of the patients that I treat, and if they wake up between 2 and 4 in the morning, what I give them is a supplement to stabilize their blood sugar. I don't give them sleeping pills. I give them something to stabilize their blood sugar. And maybe another product or another supplement, another herb like maybe ashwagandha to help stabilize the stress hormones. But we want to be mindful of this. If you're waking up between 2 and 4 in the morning, it's a blood sugar dysregulation due to stress. And I would say 90% of our patients wake up in that time, in that window. And until we rehab that stress response, we're never really going to fix our ability to not wake up, right? So under stress, we could think about something that happened to us so many 20, 30, 40 years ago. I could think about a time when I was a kid that was very stressful for me, and I still get a very similar response, even though I've conditioned and reprogrammed my brain subconsciously to work through that, right? So we're the only creature on the planet that has a frontal lobe that we could actually think about a stressful event and it creates an emotional response. So think about it. If we have a thought, it creates a feeling. And that feeling, whether that's a good or bad feeling, will create a hormonal shift. Now, just the opposite happens. If I have a positive thought, like I love my children, I feel the feeling of loving my children. So I think about my children, I have a positive feeling. The body starts creating the opposite of stress hormones. We start creating oxytocin. And oxytocin is the feel good neurotransmitter. It makes us love more. Legit, our heart fills up, it swells up of love whenever we start feeling the feeling of love in connection with somebody else. So my challenge to you is this. What I want you to do is I want you to start feeling the feeling of gratitude. Even if you can't find anything to be grateful for, start journaling, start writing down the things you're grateful for. Because we start creating the thoughts, positive feelings, and we start creating oxytocin. And we start reversing the stress response. Because if we don't downregulate that cortisol response, it's going to affect our sleep. And if it affects our sleep, it's going to affect our health. Because one thing that I'd highly suggest is looking into sleep hacking. Because most of my patients that come to see me with chronic issues, it's because their sleep efficiency is poor. So they have poor heart rate variability and they're sleeping very poorly. They're waking up between 2 and 4 in the morning. I had a patient that came to me the other day. He's like, Evan, listen, my hormones are off. How can I regulate my hormones? He expected me as an herbalist, right? I'm an herbalist and nutritionist. He expected me to say, listen, I want you to start taking these herbs. I want you to start taking the supplements. I said, no, you focus on your sleep. Anybody that has a hormone dysregulation, you got to focus on sleep. And there's a lot of different ways for us to focus on sleep. I'll do a video at a later date just talking about sleep hacking and sleep efficiency. Because the better your sleep, better hormones you're going to have. The better hormones you have, the more weight you lose, the less pain you have, the longer you live. So what should happen, according to Dr. Selye's work, is under a stress response, we have this alarm phase. And then the body reacts to that. And then what should happen, we should go back to baseline, right? But under stress, what happens is we're always in the alarm stage. So something happens to us in the morning, and then we get to the office or get to work, and then something happens at work, and then we're at work throughout the day, and then you check your Facebook post, and something happens on Facebook, and then you get all worked up, you get all stressed out, right? And then you get home, and then you got to go pick up the kids, and you got to make dinner, and then you have to, then you got to put the kids to bed, and then you got to do this work before they go to bed. You got to do the schoolwork, but then again, you have to also do your work on top of that, and then you're trying to make time to even have equality time with your spouse or your loved ones, right? Or even time for yourself if you're not married or have kids, right? This all adds up, and the stress adds up, and the stress adds up, and the stress adds up, and it continues to add up and add up and add up until one day you just get exhausted. And that's the final phase. So if we don't go to baseline, we get exhaustion, and it's known as adrenal fatigue. And at that point, it takes us a long time to be able to get you better, because then that pain that you had now gets programmed in the brain and nervous system. And nerves that are wired together are fired together. So if we're in chronic pain, it's actually not a chronic pain issue, it's a brain issue. And that's a mistake that most clinicians, they don't start with the brain and nervous system first, because pain becomes a habit inside the nervous system, just like a habit of smoking or a habit of drinking. We've got to break that habit. Same thing with weight loss or weight gain. If you can't lose weight, it's the habits behind the reason why you can't lose weight. It's your stinking thinking. It's your thoughts of, I can never lose weight. I've tried every single diet. I've tried every single supplement. But you haven't, have you? Think about it. If you tried every single supplement, if you tried every single diet, You tried every single, that's impossible. You can't. You can't. Just in Chinese medicine, there's 1,000 herbs in Chinese medicine, but there's hundreds of thousands of herbal combinations. In your lifetime, you can never try all of it, right? Just with exercise. Is high intensity interval training the best thing for you? Maybe. Is strength training the best thing for you? Maybe. Is static contractions or hypertrophy training the best thing for you? Maybe. I don't know, right? I have no idea. Is fasting great for you? Maybe, right? And so there's a lot of questions out there. But everybody, they go down the rabbit hole of searching for the one thing. And I'll tell you now, it's never the one thing. But the one thing you can start with is modifying stress. Modulate your stress, downregulate the stress response, finding things that you're grateful for, falling in love with yourself all over again, just like a child. Like my 4-year-old. She, whenever I run, I get home, I love this. I come in the house, she runs in my arms, she picks me up, I pick her up. Now she just picks me up, that'd be really funny. I pick her up and she's like, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. She kisses me and loves me and holds me and kisses me, and then she runs off, right? Same thing with my 7-year-old. Kids have this innate ability just to be joyous, just for being joyful, right? So at the age of 7, we start falling into these programs from society, right? The Jesuits used to say, give me a child before the age of 7, I'll tell you the type of man he's going to be. Because they knew intuitively that if we started a child at a young age and build them from the inside out and build them with positivity and proper language structure about how they think, because their thoughts create feelings and feelings create action, right? If we start with teaching them how to think properly, they're going to be able to hold themselves confidently throughout their whole entire life. Now, most of us are older than 7 years old. There are strategies and tools that you can learn, like EFT, thought field therapy, tapping, meditation, prayer, going to church on the weekends, visualization, visioneering, right? There's so many different techniques and strategies out there. And I'll teach you a bunch of them. I'll teach you all of them that I know. I can't teach you all of them because I don't know all of them, but I'll teach you the ones that I use daily, right? Or you could teach me. Like, feel free to message down below in these comments and just say, listen, I know the strategy that works really well with stress. I'd love to be able to learn from you. So please share, right? Now just remember this. We're the only creature on the planet that could think a thought that happened to us many, many years ago and create an emotional response or a feeling, which creates biochemistry. So if you're sick today, start thinking about things that you're positive about. Even if it's just waking up in the morning or putting socks on or putting shoes on, it doesn't matter. Start small, but you want to feel the feeling of gratitude as if you're already healed. Neville Goddard, who's a truth speaker back in the 50s, 60s, we used to talk about is feeling the feeling as if your wish is already fulfilled. So you want to feel that feeling. You want to embrace that feeling. If you want to be healthy, you want to feel the feeling of health. If you want to be wealthy, feel the feeling of feeling wealthy. If you want to be happy, feel the feeling of feeling happy. Now, some of you are probably like, well, how do I feel that way? Pretend. Be a child. Just like every other child, they would just pretend. Like my kids this morning were playing, they're pretending, right? My son was playing with a Barbie, but he was using it as a gun. So like, they just use your imagination. Pretend. Pretend. All right, guys, I look forward to sharing more videos like this, teaching more strategies and tricks and tools so you can hack your body, so you can live a long, healthy, happy, abundant life. And if you feel compelled, please share this video with somebody else. Like, comment below, and just help me help more people. I look forward to serving you and helping you in the future videos. Sempre Levante, always forward.